89 days until the presidential election, which will decide America's destiny. The question of whether President Harris and Vice President Tim Walz will take power, or the fascist ticket of Donald Trump or J.D. Vance will be answered. The Democratic National Convention is coming quick. The Democratic ticket has momentum. This is the warning. The MAGA Republicans are disoriented, spinning, and deeply worried. Donald Trump is fretting. He sees the sold-out crowds. He smells the enthusiasm. He knows it's all unraveling. It doesn't matter that Joe Biden was knocked out of the race. Donald Trump won nothing, because the only day that counts in presidential politics is election day. Now, the Republican attacks have started, and they've laid a glove, or they tried, on Tim Walz, saying he taught in China. God forbid. China is America's greatest rival. It is a superpower. It has more than 1 billion people. Trump's only experience with China was ordering takeout at Chinese restaurants in Manhattan. It's good that Governor Tim Walz knows the people, knew the young people. He is a teacher. He is a coach. Admiral Yamamoto of the Japanese High Command knew America very, very well. After the Pearl Harbor attack, as the Japanese Admiralty celebrated, as the Japanese warlords were enthusiastic, Yamamoto said, "I fear we have only awakened the sleeping giant." It is good to know your adversaries. Ignorance is not a plus, unless you're Donald Trump or one of his boys or one of his retainers trying to get a job, trying to take control over your life. There's another thing that wasn't talked a lot about yesterday, and I'd like to see more pictures of Tim Walz in uniform. I'd like to see the command sergeant major chevrons become a ubiquitous part of the campaign. Are you kidding me? The MAGA Republicans are going to try to paint the sergeant major, a command sergeant major, as some wild-eyed socialist, Bernie Sanders from the plains. It's not going to work. Coach, teacher, dad, he projects normalcy. And good God, is that not overdue in America after a decade of the orange man's takeover of society? Look at these people. They're smiling. They're joyful. They don't want retribution against anybody. They're not talking about mass deportations. Do you think Vice President Walz is ever going to ask the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff if he can shoot peacefully protesting Black Americans? No. The reality is these are normal Americans. And as Vice President Harris said, middle-class kids from different parts of the country. Tim Walz has known hardship. He's known suffering. This was a young man who lost his father when he was 18 years old. This is a man whose character was forged in the United States Army in the enlisted ranks. He's not a general or a colonel. He didn't fly planes off of aircraft carriers. He was a working man in the military, and he rose to the highest enlisted ranks. You talk to any professional military officer, the differentiator for American forces against all of our competitors is the NCO Corps, the non-commissioned officers, like Sergeant Major Tim Walz. This is how it's supposed to work. We have somebody who led a normal life and then went into public service, was the local congressman, and then became governor, and surprisingly is picked as vice president of the United States, and he blows away the sold-out crowd. He says, "I can't wait to debate J.D. Vance if he can get off the couch." Obviously a reference to some hillbilly lovemaking, J.D. Vance style. And what about the eyeliner? I'm just going to say it, and I don't mean it from a judgmental perspective, but it's weird. If you're a dude and you're in your 40s and you're straight and you're running for vice president, and you have blue eyes, like I do, and I've never considered bringing out the blue with black eyeliner. It's weird. Very, very weird. All of these people around Trump, Stephen Miller, Peter Navarro, Rudy Giuliani, Corey Lewandowski. The list, it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Each one standing on the shoulders of the weirdness that came before them. The moment is at hand. The moment to extinguish MAGA, to make it go away. Now, in the end, Republicans will decide when they want to remove the body snatcher from their party. It may be another 12 years. Who knows? But the beginning of the end is at hand. Maybe Donald Trump will be the first man in American history, besides Franklin Roosevelt, to be nominated for the presidency 4 times. Unlike Roosevelt, he'll be a 3-time loser out of the 4. But it could go on 5 times, 6 times, because Trump will probably live to be 115 years old. Who knows? Someday the fever will break. Until then, what the Democrats have to do is keep the gloves off and punch hard, punch harder, and then start hitting harder than that. They have rolled over, laid down, and fallen into the supine position more times than I can count. The singular and greatest failure of the entire Biden administration, bar none, is that MAGA and the defeated Trump were allowed to get back up on their feet. The idea that we were just going to move on naturally, it was all over, was a fool's errand. This man must be defeated. He is disgraced, and he must be humiliated again, because sometimes humiliation is the only teacher. And now, this Democratic ticket of normalcy, of toughness, of grit, of American values is going to finally, at long last, take the fight to this MAGA scourge, which has done so much damage, created so much division, and harmed our country so very deeply. This is the warning. Get excited, get involved, join this community, and volunteer for the historic Harris-Walz ticket on their way to the White House in less than 90 days from now. But between today and then, there will be potholes, there will be miseries, and there will be Trump trying to vandalize our society, saying he won an election he lost. Get ready. The American people are about to speak, and the whole world will know we've had enough. Enough of Trump. Enough of his coddling of the world's dictators. Enough of his blustering. Enough of his insanity. Enough of his imbecility. Enough of his cruelty. No, the person who stands behind the seal of the President of the United States of America will not be a convicted felon and a rapist. I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning, and I invite you to subscribe on our Substack, on our YouTube channel. Follow us. Welcome to the community.